Good morning, good afternoon, and I ain't say nothing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of Maconomics. I'm your host, Ross Mack, and I'm here to try to help you get to the bag. We got a new caller. Talk to me, what you got?
What's up, Ross? It's Nitty with the Tiggo Bitties. That's right. Listen, it's almost tax season, and I want to call Dr. Miami. You know, getting slim without hitting the gym. You know how they do it. Listen, after that, what do I do with the rest of my tax return?
Okay, really good question. Before I could actually truly assess that for you, I just need to know a few questions. So one, do you have any debt? And if so, how much?
Okay, so let's see. I got some student loans. I got 3 Victoria's Secret gift cards, and I owe the weed man. So let's just round that up to like $5K.
Okay, about $5K in debt. Now next, do you have an emergency fund saved up? Are you saving money for a rainy day?
No, I don't have an emergency fund, but I do got some money from when I need to have some emergency fun. You hear me?
Okay, and then next, do you have any children? You got any kids?
I got 3 baby daddies, but 1 baby. Won't he do it? Won't he do it?
Okay, and then lastly, my last question is just exactly how much or about, round ballpark are you getting back on your refund?
At first, I was getting back $3K, but my homegirl Tasha let me claim her daughter, so now I'm getting back $8K.
Okay, so you get about $5K in debt and you're getting about $8K back in refund. So the very first thing I would do is out the gate is knock out your debt. Reason being, one of the biggest silent killers amongst people, it ain't just cigarettes, it's the interest rate on debt. Credit cards alone probably be paying like 19% on interest rates, right? So first things first, I would knock that out the gate. The next thing I would do is start building up your cash reserves, right? That's the emergency fund. If you looked at some of my prior Maconomic episodes, then you would know one thing that I say is very important is building up that emergency fund, which is generally 3 to 6 months of your expenses. These are your necessities that you need. Rainy day. For that, I'm not going to say use your entire refund, but let's just put $1,000 or so to the side just for that, right? So we paid down debt $5K. Now we're putting $1,000 aside for your emergency fund. Now we got about $2,000 left, right? Now, one thing that I think is very important, very imperative is not to have our kids in the same predicament we were when we were coming up, right? We don't need our kids to have a ton of student debt. So what I want you to do is now put something aside for your child, right? You want to be thinking about a college fund. And there's a few ways to do this, but I think one good way is setting up a 529 plan account. 529 plan, also known as a 529 plan, is a tax advantage investment vehicle to encourage parents to start saving for their beneficiaries for college, right? We don't want to continue the same Ferris wheel of student debt and passing that on to the next generation. We want to get ahead and put our kids on the right path so they can go to college and not graduate with $30,000, $40,000 in student debt. The way we do that is the 529 plan, right? This will be tax-free money that they're going to be able to utilize when they turn 18 or they 22 going into grad school. So as long as they're utilizing this money to go towards their college tuition, room and board, books and supplies and things of that sort, right? So let's just say we're going to put $1,000 aside for that this year. I encourage putting money aside each year for this, right? So we did $5,000 to pay down debt. We had $1,000 to start building up that emergency fund. Now we just took $1,000 for your college tuition. So out of that $8,000, we'll have about $1,000 left. Here, I would encourage you to start investing for your own retirement, right? I would recommend investing into an index fund, right? Specifically, the S&P 500 index, right? Just this past year in 2019, it returned 30%. That's a lot of money over the course of 1 year. $1,000, you would have made $300 without doing much, right? So in conclusion, you just got that refund check. You're trying to figure out what to do with it. Well, you need to address paying down debt first. Why? Because the interest rates on that debt, it's knocking mogs out quicker than... Damn! See? And then 2, you want to start figuring out how to build up your emergency fund. You want to make sure if something happened, if it's a medical expense or whatever, you're able to address that. And then 3rd, you want to make sure your kids are straight. Start building up that college fund. You want to make sure your kids straight. And then lastly, don't be afraid to invest. Start building up your own retirement. Great question. Next caller, talk to me. What you got? Quick disclaimer, this your boy Ross Mac. I'm just trying to elevate and educate. Damn sure ain't trying to play A. So if you lose somebody fucking around with me, it ain't my fault.